Hello and welcome to this PHP tutorial by PHPGameEngine.com. To view the rest of the series, please visit PHPGameEngine.com. Alright guys, before we start this tutorial, I'm just going to make a quick note that this is over 20 minutes long, so I'm only able to post the first 10 minutes. The rest you'll be able to go to our link on the sidebar and view the full 20-minute tutorial on our website at PHPGameEngine.com. Have fun! Alright, today we're going to go ahead and set up the site for the Mafia. This is going to be including the settings, the functions, and the front end view. That's going to be the theme for it, not for the game nor the admin. We'll get to that when we get to that section of the tutorial. First, we're going to go ahead and create 3 folders that we'll need, and they are the includes admin and game. I'm just going to go my htdocs and then my tutorials and then Mafia. This can be wherever your root folder will be for the game. The first one's going to be called includes. I'm going to create another one called admin and one more called game. Now we're not going to be dealing with the game or admin today. We'll be doing that in another tutorial, but we have it set up so we can go. Now you can open up your text editor. I'll be using TextMate. If you don't have one, you can find a list of free open source editors at phpgameengine.com. They feature syntax highlighting and such to help you code better. Alright, we're going to go ahead and save this, and then I'm going to go to my folder, includes, and we're going to save this as settings with an s.php. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a block of coding. It's just documentation information. It's saying who the author is, the copyright, the last update, which will be the 27th. Change that. It's just saying the name of the file. It includes settings, and then the settings file holds all connection information and site details. Alright, so the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert another block of code or comments, and this is just going to name this site information. It just helps me recognize what I'm dealing with. And we're going to set the site name first, so we're going to comment site name, and then make a variable that says site name, and set that equal to whatever you want. In my case, it's going to be PHP Mafia. We're going to do another site, variable for site tagline. It's like a subheader to the site. And we're going to set the variable called site tag. And for me, I'm going to set it, can you own the city? And remember that the name or any of these variables can be anything you want. The next variable that we're going to set is the site URL. And, this needs to be your URL and not mine. Alrighty, we're going to set site URL equals HTTP, and this can be an absolute path. So we're going to start with the HTTP and then localhost tutorials and then Mafia. And the comment says, notice that there is no / there. At the end of it, there's no trailing slash. It's important to remember, especially when you're doing links and stuff. We're going to go ahead and set the admin directory, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with the trailing slash. We're going to name the the variable admin URL, and we're going to put in site URL, and then concatenate admin in there. So we're going to put a / admin, and don't put any trailing slash after the admin word. We're going to do one more called game directory, and we're going to make game URL site URL dot game. And it's the same principle as the admin URL, you're just changing the game. Alright, the next thing we're going to deal with is the connection information for your database. We're using MySQL here. Just make a block that says that real fast. We're going to come on down and we're going to have the server address. And just saying that the server address and localhost will work 99% of the time. We're going to set a variable called server, and server is going to be equal to localhost. It's the connection information. Another one called username to MySQL, and this can be username equals root. If you haven't touched XAMPP at all, as in configuring your MySQL, then yours will also be root. And then we're going to have another one called password. And if you haven't touched that at all either, it'll be blank. You just put the double quotes and a semicolon after it. One last one we need is the database name, and the DB, we're going to call DB variable, and we're going to set that to Mafia. Alrighty, and the first thing, after that, we can go ahead and set up a database for our information. You can go to your Internet Explorer or whatever you're going to be using. I use Firefox and just type in HTTP localhost PHP myadmin. Make sure your XAMP in your Apache and your MySQL is on via XAMP. Alright, and then at the MySQL, it says create new database. You can go ahead and insert your database name. Mine is Mafia, and I already have it up. There's no table information in there currently. We'll get to that as we go on through the tutorial. So just make sure you have a blank database. You do need the database to exist, or it's going to throw an error and you won't be able to connect. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is create the connection. So we're going to put a comment in there that says create connection. You'll never have to touch this coding again unless something goes wrong. And we're going to create a variable called con for connection, short for connection. And we're going to set MySQL connect server, comma, and then one that says user, and then another one that says password. Now instead of ending this with a semicolon, we're going to do an or die statement, and it means if it's not successful, die and display whatever we put in here. In this case, it's going to be could not connect to server, semicolon, line break, and then the MySQL error. So go ahead and type that in. Put a line break, and then we're going to we're going to concatenate the MySQL error on there, and it's going to be just MySQL underscore error. Alright, and we're going to put a semicolon after that, and that's just going to display what's happening, and PHP will help us out troubleshooting the connection. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is a MySQL select database, and those all have underscores instead of spaces. And we're going to do a DB, and then we're going to use the connection. We're going to use the connection variable con. And we're going to do another or die, and put could not connect to database VR. So database right, VR, and concatenate MySQL error on there. Now, if you get an error, make sure you look to see whether it says server or it says database, and then you can troubleshoot. It'll help you troubleshoot that out. Alright, the last thing we're going to do with the settings file is do a require once, and we're going to require the page functions.php. And this is saying go to the directory. In this case, it's going to be the same level directory, and find that file. If you can't find it, then you need to kill the page and say that you can't do that. And I'll show you what that is. We'll go to localhost and then includes, and then settings. And it's saying that we cannot connect. See, there's our error. So it's saying we cannot connect to the database. SQL connect, create connection. Little troubleshooting. This is all done. I haven't worked it out yet, so we just gotta see what went wrong here. Access denied for a user at localhost. So let's see here. Oh, instead of the variable user, we set it up here to username. Alrighty, now that's what we were hoping for. It's saying that the functions file does not exist. There is no such file or directory in XAMP files. htdocs tutorials Mafia includes settings.php. So it's saying there is no functions.php in this file here, in this folder. And that's correct. There isn't one. Alrighty, so we're going to create that. But the first thing, before we do that, let's go ahead and set up our theme. Thank you for viewing this PHP tutorial. You can go to either of these 3 links to keep up to date with our releases.